Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
Hey, Ryan, I can hear you.
Okay. Good. I was wondering who Big Ozzy was.
I didn't realize that it was going to show up like that. I'm like, how do I change that? It's like a high school nickname.
All right. Well, we'll start here in a few minutes. We're waiting on either one of our members to get online or another one to come up in person from that standpoint. So.
Okay. Okay. And Bill's going to join remotely. I sent him the link, and then Stephen and Paul are here. So.
Okay.
By the way, the more you talk tonight, the further back your sign gets moved, just so you know that.
Oh, no.
There's another meeting coming in after, so we've been given the high sign to move it fast tonight. So
Okay. We will
let's
keep it short and sweet.
Okay, good.
All right. Yes. Can, oh, maybe it's not.
Okay,
Were we called?
They're waiting for a couple members.
okay, notice is given that the Board of Adjustment of the City of Castle Hills will meet October 26, October 2020 at 5:30. It is now convening. There is a quorum present. The first item is consider the approval of the meeting minutes from August 24th, 2020 Board of Adjustment meeting. Is there a motion?
Chairman, motion approved as written.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you very much. It has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes? Being no discussion, all in favor? It's unanimous. Item number three actually, is a public hearing, discussion of possible action on an application for Mark Osborne for variances for a digital on-premise sign, height and sign setback on property located at 6205 West Avenue, City of San Antonio, CB 5005, Block 5, P2, ABS 468, contrary to Section 534-69, sign height, Section 34-3, sign 15-foot setback, City of Castle Hills Local Code of Ordinances. Relief from Section 50-98, area regulations, front yard minimum front setbacks, side yard minimum side setbacks, rear yard minimum yard setback shall be 20 feet. Mark, you're up.
Okay, well, howdy. Good evening to everybody. My name is Mark Osborne. I'm the Executive Director of the San Antonio A&M Club Foundation down here at Aggie Park at 6205 West Avenue. And with me in our conference room right now is our lead architect, Stephen Jackson, and our lead engineer and past president, Paul Denham. Some of you may have met the two of them last year when we had a permit approved for the larger expansion of our building. And, you know, real quick, Bill Hill, our club president, is trying to join remotely. And he told me, he sent me a message saying he was in the waiting room. Is it possible for him to join? He'd like to watch this as well from his office.
Sure. While we're waiting to do that, I failed to announce that the public hearing opened at 5:31 p.m.
Okay. So if, well,
Do you have him?
Mark, I don't see him in the waiting room. Did he have the right link on the agenda?
I sent him I forwarded him the same link that I used to get in. So let me.
Mark, for the sake of time, we need to move
Sure. Okay.
forward, and we are in the public hearing. If he comes in, we'll be glad to hear from him.
Okay.
Would you go
So,
ahead with your thoughts?
yes, sure. And I do have a PowerPoint. Is it okay to do a share screen? Can y'all see my screen?
We can.
Yeah, Mark, you can
Okay.
just take access. or-
Host disabled. Yeah, if I can get access to that, but I'll move forward while that's being worked on. So yes, we are wanting to install a new digital sign on our property, digital display on-premise sign. And the two variances that we're requesting, the first is for the sign height. Per section 34-C, I'm sorry, section 34-69C, the height is limited to 12 feet. And our sign height is 14 feet. So that's variance number one, is that we'd like our sign to be 2 feet higher than what code allows. And then the second variance, per code section 34-32D, a sign must be located a minimum of 15 feet from all property lines. So we are asking for the sign to be placed 10 feet from the property line. So the reason for this, pretty simple. We'd like the sign to be viewed, easily be viewed. But also there are issues with the placement of our property that are out of our control, and that is the slope of West Avenue. So when you're coming north or south on West Avenue, if you're driving uphill, you have viewing obstacle coming from 410, and as you come south down West Avenue, when you're passing Antonian, the road slopes, which makes it difficult to view as well. And then another part of this is that the slope of the property is a downward slope from the right of way. So that was also considered in part of this planning for the new sign. A key part of this is that there is no negative impact from the sign on residential properties. And, you know, that's really, in summary, the key points of this at this point is that we're looking to put in a nice new sign. It'll look great for our property, which will make Castle Hills look great. And the reason for these requests is just for hardships out of our control because of the slope of the property and because of the placement of the property.
Okay, thank you very much. Since this is a public hearing portion, is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this matter? Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this matter? Being no comments from the public hearing is closed at 5:37, so we can discuss this item. Is there a motion, gentlemen, on this item? You're going to make a motion to approve the application as submitted? Thank you very much. Is there a second?
I second that.
It's been made and seconded. Thank you, sir. There are a couple of questions. This does not, good evening, sir. This does not alter your signage plan. In other words, this is not a variance to place a sign of any type. It is for this specific sign. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mr. Squire, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Bruce. Yeah, just out of curiosity, when I was looking at the plans, you want 14 feet versus 12 feet, and I was looking at the elevation of the sign versus elevation of the road. Your 14 feet measurement is from where specifically? I guess I didn't quite catch that.
So it is from the sidewalk, we're calling the right of way the sidewalk, and in the packet there is a plan, and I do have a picture of that on the PowerPoint if I was able to pull that up to show. But to answer your question, it's from the right of way, 14 feet from the right of way.
Okay, thank you. And then our current ordinance, it would be essentially 12 feet from the right of way if you're using that as our reference. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, well, that's the only question I have at this point. Thank you.
Mr. Aiken, do you have any questions, sir? Sure you can.
I think you got to use your microphone, sir.
Oh, push your button.
Too bad. I'm sorry, guys. I was just asking, I looked at the packet. The packet looked good. I wondered if we could work on the coloring to burnt orange, or are we stuck with maroon? Just a question.
As the chair, I have to maybe overrule that one. Okay. Yes, sir. Any other comments?
No, that was all that I had. I did think you had a well-presented package.
Any questions, sir?
No. I'm sorry.
You mentioned that it didn't affect residents. I did have a question. Does it affect the church or the school's line of sight for their signs that are already in place?
It does not. I can tell you from my own experience, I actually live in Castle Hills and I drive up and down West Avenue all the time. Our signs are going to be so far apart, there will be no chance of that.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Chairman, I
Gentlemen,
have another
thank you
question,
very
please.
much. Any other, John? Yes, sir.
Bruce, I might make one other comment.
Sure, of course.
You know, and I have been to functions over there and I do know, with respect to going there, the current sign they have is difficult to see. It really is. And I've been over there for contractor functions and other things and I've kind of wondered about it. But it is hard to see if you don't know where you're going. I live here, of course, so I know where I'm going, but yeah, I do appreciate the request.
I agree. Mr. Squire.
I was going to echo the same thing. I've been to a few functions over there. My wife invites me all the time, so um, and I do show up periodically. But what I was going to say is I found that I think the thought process is trying to make this thing more visible is a better use of the signage. It also makes more sense because it is hard to. When I first moved here, I couldn't even find the place initially until we drove past it a few times, and I think what you're doing is very smart. But the question I want to know, the other thing I'm curious of too, is you said this sign's going to have, it's going to be a lit sign. It's going to have, is it going to have changing information on it? Was it an LED sign with some scrolling information? And then if indeed that's the case, I think Castle Hills has some ordinances to where you can only have things change at a certain rate to not try to distract the drivers. Has that been taken into account already?
It has. We've reviewed all the ordinances and have a plan to follow all of them, including, dimming the sign at a certain time of the night. And yes, we have thoroughly researched all the ordinances.
Okay, thank you. That's my only question. I
Thank
appreciate
you
that.
very much. There is a motion on the table to approve the application as written. If there's no other discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much, gentlemen. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing, discussion, possible action on application for Veronica Ureste for a variance of a side yard setback for a structure carport on the property located at 109 Roletto, CB 5004C Block 1, Lot 5, Castle Hills, Unit 3, contrary to Section 50-64B, the Castle Hills Local Code of Ordinances, relief from Section 50-98, area regulations, minimum front yard setback shall be 20 feet, side yard shall be a minimum of no less than, on a corner lot, no less than 20 feet, minimum rear yard setback shall be 20 feet. Are we opening the public hearing?
We can. The applicant, again, had communicated to Mr. Zamorone that she would be here either via Zoom or in person, and I don't see her on Zoom. And
Okay, we're going to open up the public hearing at 5:43. Yes, sir. Louis, would you talk to us about this a little bit?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I did give her the link to Zoom. She called saying she was having trouble with it about 20 minutes ago. I gave her the right link and she did have some success, and I've had both of my phones with me. She or her architect have not reached out, so I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I do have knowledge of the project.
Okay, let's go ahead, and since there's no public comments, let's close the public hearing at 5:44. And if the motion is put on the table, we can discuss this and see if we want to move it forward or not. Mr. Squire, do you have a motion?
Yeah, we need to discuss this, so I'll move.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. You're on.
Gentlemen, this applicant is asking for a variance on a side yard setback in reference to a carport that they propose to build on that property, 109 Roletto. I'm pretty sure that all y'all know the history of 109 Roletto. It has been a problem for the city even prior to me getting here in 2013 or 14, whenever I got here. It was one of my first 4 cases that I was handed, and it took me a better part of 7 years to get to the bottom of it. Mercifully, an individual did step up and buy the property. Actually, a couple stepped up and bought the property, and are looking to improve it, which is going to vastly improve the neighborhood. Certainly, I'm not here for an advocate of the project. I can't as the city, but I can tell you that from a professional point of view and from the city's interest in this particular project, any benefit, any improvement to that particular lot and structure is going to benefit that neighborhood.
Thank you. I have a couple of clarification questions, please. Two things. We are only approving the setback for the structure itself. Is that correct?
To my understanding of the application, that's correct.
So we would want to make sure that we amend our approval to include only the structure, not the entire lot.
Correct. The scope of the application is for the carport. As I reviewed the carport, do understand that there are plans down the road, but we're not discussing that.
If this were to pass, we would want to make sure that the applicant is fully aware without any question of doubt this only covers the carport.
Understood. And I'll make that aware. I'll make that.
Okay, Mr. Squire, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Bruce, thank you for voicing that for me. I certainly,
I'm
I certainly.
sorry.
No, I certainly appreciate that. So because when I read this, the variance that's requested is to move the 10-foot setback to 5 foot along the entire southwest, or along the southwest property line. And so again, I don't think this is appropriately worded for what they're looking for. And I would like to make sure that the verbiage is proper. I understand the value of trying to improve the property, but to open that up to where you get rid of that variance on the entire southwest side of the property line, I don't think is appropriate for the city. So we just got to be firm and assured that do we need to revise this request? Do we have the right to go ahead and do that and make sure it's only for the construction of the aforementioned carport?
We can put that into the approval, John.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure.
Correct. And my understanding, and actually speaking to the applicant, the entire process was that it was for the carport itself. And I do understand that there's plans in the future, but the way I saw the plans come into my desk, it didn't discuss anything behind the carport, if you will. And it's just going to be a separate issue if it needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Thank you.
Tom, any questions? Sir, any questions?
On this plat, so you've gone to the site, I assume. There's a large tree at the end of the driveway, kind of like set back from the driveway, the current driveway? Is that correct?
Yes, on the left or the right side as you're looking
On
at
the,
the property.
if I have it right, the garage is parallel with the road.
Correct.
They've
Correct.
converted that to living space.
That's correct.
But it looks like the driveway runs up and then turns into that structure. But then if you keep going straight, it looks like there's a big tree there.
Correct. So the driveway,
this
as it
plat-
stands now, you're absolutely correct. It goes into the property, it makes a right-hand turn and go to what was the existing garage that has now been converted into living space. And they're proposing to tweak the driveway, if you will, so that it can meet that carport that's under review tonight. And there
where's-
probably is a tree there that needs to be removed.
Oh, so the tree is being removed?
Most likely there does. And of course, the code does provide for if a principal structure is existing on a lot, the property owner has the right to clear cut the lot unless, of course, the tree falls under a heritage or protected tree definition.
And that one doesn't?
My understanding, I can't recall every discussion we had about that, but I did bring that up to them, and they're also rather pro-environment. So they would have taken that into consideration. And I did tell them the auspice of a state record, half the size, circumference of that particular species.
For the sake of understanding that if the tree, they are subject to the tree ordinance, whatever, that doesn't really fall in our,
So if we approve this and that tree is
exactly, and that
protected-
tree can't be moved for whatever reason, that's their problem, not our problem, for lack of a better term. I mean, we're not in charge of the tree.
They would have to come to ARC
They'd
for
have
a
to,
tree hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I have.
are there any other questions on this matter? I would like to amend the motion. My amendment is to approve the motion with a specific restriction of it covering only the proposed carport. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been made and seconded. On the amendment, we vote first. All in favor, say aye. Thank you. Now is the main motion to approve the application with the amended caveat. All members say aye. It's unanimously approved. Gentlemen, being no more items before this board on the agenda, we hereby adjourn. Thank you so much.